Good evening, everyone. If you don't mind, we're going to get started. We are thrilled that you are joining us tonight. My name is Kayla Holly. I'm in my junior year, double majoring in public relations and business administration. A little bit about me is I am the current president of the Public Relations Student Society of America on campus. We are an organization targeted towards communication students who are looking to develop their skills in the field and diversify their network. This semester, we're hosting professionals from the public relations industry almost every week, as well as participating in some PRSSA national development programs. After graduation, I hope to find myself at a public relations agency in a big city. So far in the Imagine 2021 program, I have loved hearing from Anthony DeMario, learning more about myself through the Myers-Briggs assessment, and I am excited to learn this week about how to better develop my presence on LinkedIn. So thank you for joining us tonight for a session on how to unleash your LinkedIn superpowers. We are well into the first ever Imagine 2021 program, sponsored by the President's Office, Career Services, and the Oswego Alumni Association. This is the third week of a 5-week program focused on giving current students and the class of 2020 the chance to explore career paths, find job and internship opportunities, network with alumni, and more. Check out the website for more details. The link is being dropped in the chat. And if you complete 3 items on the weekly checklist, you'll be eligible for the drawing at the end of the week. The direct link to the checklist is also in the chat. One housekeeping item, please place any questions or comments into the chat as we'll be closely monitoring it. And now, I am so excited to introduce you to our panel of alumni. I'll start with Alexa Kozlowski. She will be graduating this spring with a major in marketing and public relations and a minor in graphic design. She has held multiple leadership positions on campus, including Director of Marketing and Public Relations for PRSSA and Social Media Director and Chapter President for AMA. Her interest in marketing has carried her through a variety of outstanding experiences on and off campus, and she currently serves as the virtual social media marketing intern for Joan Pelzer Media, LLC. After graduation, Alexa hopes to work in marketing for the consumer industry. Although Gary Morris earned his master's in higher education from Kent State University in Ohio, he is most proud of his communications and psychology degrees from SUNY Oswego way back in 1988. Since leaving Oswego, he has worked at 6 different universities across 4 states and currently serves as the Director of Career Services. He is still not quite sure what he wants to do when he grows up. Joan Pilzer is a SUNY Oswego alumni from 1989 and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Communications. She went on to get an MBA in Finance and International Business from Fordham University while working her first out-of-college job at Verizon. Joan has a wide variety of experiences that color her perspective. Some notable mentions include returned Peace Corps volunteer in Russia, 1995 to 97, general manager and producer off-Broadway, on-air guest expert on Home Shopping Network in Shop NBC for Royal Doulton, China and Crystal, formerly ran a few women's networking organizations in New York City, and produced an event at the United Nations. Whoa. And Joan finally landed her ultimate role, president, CEO, and social media marketing strategist of her own digital marketing company, Joan Pilzer Media, LLC, which is now celebrating its 8th year. Joan is the ultimate go-to person for all business social media needs. She is an animal lover, travel lover, theater, and all things digital and social media. She lives on the Upper East Side of Manhattan with her Chihuahua, Lunabella, who I heard is about to go viral. Heather Slovin graduated from SUNY Oswego in 2005 with a degree in marketing and is currently working for LinkedIn as the enterprise sales manager, leading a team of over 10 business account executives throughout North America. Her mission is to begin new partnerships and help companies harness LinkedIn's power for recruiting and employment branding, as well as employee professional development. Prior to LinkedIn, she served as an account executive with Yahoo.com in countrywide real estate. As a student, she was involved in the Oswegonian newspaper, president of Delta Phi Epsilon, and worked with the Oswego Alumni Association and the Fund for Oswego during their calling campaigns. A recipient of multiple awards over the years for exceptional performance, we are thrilled to have her join us tonight. Next, Paola Marin Vitesse. I hope I didn't butcher that. I apologize. Is a biomedical engineer and just completed her master's in biomedical and health informatics. She wins the award for being the farthest away from the shores of Lake Ontario tonight. She recently moved to the Arctic Circle to begin work as an artificial intelligence researcher at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology while pursuing her PhD in artificial intelligence in public health applications. As a graduate assistant in college, she researched a variety of mental disorders and managed related technology. Prior to that, she served as a data science intern with Oswego in Syracuse, New York, as an information technology system manager for Rancho El Oriente and a technical sales representative at Villahermosa, Mexico. Wow. It's impressive. A warm welcome to all of our guests tonight. I'd like to start with some questions, and we'll begin alphabetically, starting with Alexa. Alexa, please restate your name, your current position, and the most energizing part of the work and or activities that you are involved in. And then after Alexa, I would love to go to Gary next.
Happy to answer your question. Hello, everyone. I'm Alexa Kozlowski. As Kayla so wonderfully stated, I am the chapter president of AMA, and I'm a current social media marketing intern at Joan Pelzer Media LLC, and a current student, as some of you are on this call. So I would say one of the best things about my positions is, and really it's true for both of them, is I just love that I'm able to be creative, but I'm also able to better in my professional areas as well, so that I'm gaining skills to prepare me for the job market, and also being able to use graphic design and thinking outside of the box. And it's just a lot of fun, and it's a great way to advance in your professional skill set.
Thank you.
All right, tough to beat that. Gary Morris, again, Director of Career Services here at our great college in Oswego. Wow, two things that energize me really. It's one, helping students believe in themselves, and the other half of that equation, helping them to explore, to confirm, and then to compete for that meaningful life that maybe they're meant to live. But both of those sides of the equation are really important to me. I work with a lot of students, and they often think, gosh, I don't go to Yale, I don't go to Dartmouth or whatever, it's a pandemic. It's easy to see, the downside of things sometimes, but my philosophy is no matter what, you keep moving forward and try to find that meaningful life that you're meant to live. So I love seeing students' excitement about reaching goals and taking action. Honestly, there's two sides to that too. One is kind of seeing is believing, and you get a student to take a step and they see success, so they take another step and it keeps building. The other side is believing is seeing. Students sometimes have to step out on faith, even though they're not quite sure where it's going to take them. They take that leap of faith into the unknown, and all kinds of possibilities will blossom from there. So that's my life's work. That's why I love what I do, is seeing students be successful.
Thank you, Gary. I'd like to go to Heather and then Joan.
Hi guys, my name is Heather Slovin, and normally I work out of the Empire State Building, but right now I am residing in my home in Long Island. I'm a regional sales manager at LinkedIn, as was mentioned. I manage about 10 plus people in small, medium, large enterprise accounts. I think what energizes me about my work every day, me and my team get to help people find jobs. And that's a really exciting thing. We help companies find talent so that they can grow and succeed. At LinkedIn, we have a simple mission. We want to allow the world's professionals to become more productive and successful and create a global economic opportunities. And whether that's through vendor management, hiring, sales, vetting, research, it runs the gamut. I'm very lucky to be able to do that.
Me next? Okay. Hi, I'm Joan Pilzer. Wow, graduated in '89, hard to believe. Knew Gary back then in college. SUNY Oswego was a beautiful place to be. Lasting friendships, lasting relationships, and continued relationships. What I do now is I have my own company. I'm an entrepreneur. And for about 8 years, I have a digital marketing agency, Joan Pilzer Social. Alexa is my current intern, and it's such a gift to work with a student at SUNY Oswego. They clearly have the training and the drive, and I'm so fortunate to have found her. Actually, she found me first, and then I found her to come work with me. The most energizing part of what I do is helping somebody who doesn't know what to do, doesn't know the first thing about going online and how to be found, especially this past year during the pandemic, where they might not even physically be able to be near anybody, helping them be seen and heard online. An example of that is a restaurant I was working with on the Upper West Side hosted a bunch of outdoor events during this past year, during the pandemic. They are still open, and I was able to do some live video with and for them to help them be seen and to make sure that their restaurant could have people ordering in or coming and doing takeout and staying open. And I'm happy to say they are still open. So that's one of the most energizing and rewarding parts of what I do.
Thank you, Joan. Paola?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Paola Marin, and I am a biomedical engineer with a master's in biomedical and health informatics from SUNY Oswego. And I currently work at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology at Trondheim, doing research in artificial intelligence at their open artificial intelligence lab. This lab is a center that brings together research, education, and innovation within AI. And the objectives are to enable both basic and applied research at high international level and foster strong partnerships between academia, industry, and the public sector. And I will also start a PhD with them in artificial intelligence for public health applications in February.
Thank you. A warm welcome to everyone again. So the next question, I'm going to throw it to Gary first, is it is always interesting to hear how paths seldom go in a straight line. What were or are your thoughts, goals, or plans for your career while in college, and how did you eventually come to your current path?
Well, wow, yeah, like everybody zigzags, right? The longer you live, the more you zig. So I was probably the poster child in college for not having a clue what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't even know the questions I should be asking, to be honest. And here it comes. I never went to career services as an undergraduate student. So I'll admit that. And that helps me understand students who never go to career services, if there are still a few of those out there. But I knew kind of what I liked, and I focused on that. So I became an RA because I looked up to my RA because I lived in the halls. I was the director of the Big Brother, Big Sister program when they had that on campus. And I thought, well, I'll just do what I want to do, what I enjoy, and it will work out in the end. I'll just get that job they give you when you graduate. So having graduated and gone home, I have this amazing memory of sitting on my living room floor with my back against my mother's couch, because I was in my mother's house at that point. And I'm looking through this, they're called newspapers. They're these big sheets of paper, and they used to have articles and job announcements once in a while, especially on say. I'm flipping through this document, and I'm looking, and my mother, who's sitting on the couch right behind me, I vividly remember her saying, "So you've graduated, son. Exactly what are you qualified to do?" I was like, I don't know, but I think I'm going to know it when I see it. And I just kept flipping through the paper. And I still didn't know really how to kind of move forward professionally. So I was an RA. I thought, well, let's be a hall director. So I did that at like 3 different colleges over a period of years. Then I went to get my master's degree, did an internship while there. And I went in the morning for this internship, not knowing what I wanted to do with my life still, at 24, 25. And I came out 7 hours later knowing exactly what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And that would be career services, because that's where I did that all important, life-changing, tectonic shifting internship. Changed my life. The light bulb went off glaringly. And, 5 colleges later, I'm in career services and I'm in my current position. But I took the scenic route here. And I would say there's probably a better way.
Thanks, Gary. We're glad to have you in career services now. Okay, I'm going to hand it to Joan next.
Yeah, I know where you come from. I kind of did the same thing. I love that Heather said she worked with the Oswegonian. I did too. I was arts and entertainment editor. I was also with WTOP when Steve Levy, for those of you who know the big sportscaster, when he was there, I was on air as well. And I really wanted to go in for broadcast journalism, but I didn't want to move anywhere but back home to New York. So that route would have been challenging at that point in time, to go right to New York and become a broadcast journalist. So I took the circuitous route as well. And I did all different things. I took a job at Verizon right away because I did an internship. Internships do lead to work. They then hired me. I was an intern in the PR department, and I got hired in the purchasing department. And I purchased switching equipment. To this day, I don't know what switching equipment actually does, but I knew it wasn't my path. And I got an MBA in finance and international business. I chose finance because it was the thing I knew the least about. And I thought, well, why not? Let's learn. And I saw an ad for the Peace Corps. And when I saw that, I was light bulb. Okay, I can go to Russia. I can join the Peace Corps. I can act while I'm there. I can do all sorts of things. I can travel. And I kind of thought I was going to go change the world, which many of us at that age do think we can do. And it changed me. And it made me start to really see who I was and what my skill sets were. And when I came back, I decided to go to acting school full time, started a production company to produce theater, and then kind of worked my way into the path of, wow, where I'm supposed to be, which is marketing. And marketing and still doing broadcasting. I had a internet radio show for 6 years, starting a new podcast. So it kind of, I did it in the circuitous route, but yet I'm getting where I think I was supposed to be all along. It just takes a while to find it. And I think probably the biggest thing to impart on anyone, including my intern Alexa, is there is no straight and narrow path usually. Unless you really know at birth what you want to do, there are ways to go and come and go and come and just find where you want to be. And you may need to do certain other things first to train your brain a little differently to get where you're meant to be, but you will find it. And along the way, hopefully you'll have some fun.
Thank you for that advice, Joan. I'm going to hand it to Heather next.
Okay, so I'm probably the anomaly in this group. I knew what I wanted to do when I went to Oswego. I knew I wanted to sell. I liked sales. I was in some clubs in high school that really kind of led me. I was like, I want to sell, but I didn't know what. I applied to the marketing and business program in Oswego, and one of the reasons I went to Oswego was the business program. So those of you that are a part of that program, I think you should be consider yourself very grateful. I think it's fantastic. But you know, because of the business school, I took a lot of economics classes, a lot of accounting classes, a lot of advertising classes. And, you know, the one advice I probably could give you guys is, you know, do as much as you can at Oswego. I was a part of a sorority. I worked for the Alumni Association. I worked at the Oswegonian. I was a part of a club called SIFE. There were all these different things. And it allowed me, to Gary's point, to understand, like, what am I passionate about? What do I like? Right? And one of the things that I'll never forget, I would think I was a senior. We were taking, it's like a marketing 465 course, or I think that's what it's named. Correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a lot of years, where you have to build a commercial, a radio ad, and almost like a marketing proposal. And I said to myself, I love this. This is so interesting. I don't want to be in the commercial, but I like the idea of kind of the creativity that goes along with it. And at the time, you know, I could see the internet up and coming. And so one of the things I was like, I like marketing. And I want to sell. I know that. That's why I came to business school. And I allowed my path to kind of lead me from there. But to be very clear, guys, you know, it takes a lot to get a job today, right? And you have to be passionate about it. That's what you'll always hear. Or at least I know the people who went with the things they're passionate about, they're happier today for it, right? I don't ever feel like I work because I enjoy my work so much. But what is interesting to me is how I got to my role at LinkedIn was from working at Yahoo. And how I got my job at Yahoo were people, you know, that I was referred in from a sorority sister. So it is, as much as it is what you know and what you're passionate about, it's also who you know. So I would say to you, you know, meet as many people as you can, network as much as you can, have a lot of fun. But, you know, those people have led me, you know, down a path to a network that, you know, I can be really grateful for today. So I think that you can know and have a feeling. What I would say to you is like, what are the classes or the courses that give you the most joy, right? And even to this day, as a sales manager, as a leader at LinkedIn, you know, I do a lot of public speaking, and one of my favorite courses was that public speaking course. And so I would say to you, like, what are the classes that energize you, that make you excited, that you want to attend? Those may be the ones you want to kind of follow the path on, because that's where you're going to have a lot more joy. I think, like I said, I think I'm in the anomaly a lot of times, the person who knew what they wanted going into college and came out and got the job, right? But to be clear, it wasn't a straight path here. You know, I sold mortgages, I worked in event planning, I did a lot of things before I got the job that I considered my dream job. So don't be afraid to try things. I think that would probably be my big advice on that. But that's how I got to my current path. And to Gary's point, you know, I was a little more like, you know, eager on the events, the planning, the networking events, the happy hours. And that led me to a connection that eventually referred me to a job.
Thank you, Heather. I'll go to Paola next.
Thank you. When I chose my master's degree, the goal was to be able to change my career path from a biomedical engineer and a kind of a hospital setting to a data scientist. So it was a little bit broader. So I knew I needed to learn more about programming in depth, and then I needed to learn different programming languages because that would give me the basic knowledge to make the switch. So after that, then I could start shaping my skills as I was learning more about the field. So I like the focus of the biomedical and health informatics programs at SUNY Oswego. So I packed my things and moved to the US and did that. And then while I was doing my master's degree, I got an internship as a data scientist at Oswego. And over there, I learned so much about data analysis, which was kind of a confirmation that it was a path that I would really like. So towards the end of my last semester at SUNY, my academic advisor, Dr. Isabel Wichendaris, shared the Norwegian position application information with me. So I figured it wouldn't hurt to apply, because if it was a no, then I already knew that. But if I actually wanted to have a shot, I needed to do something about it rather than just reading and staying put. So I applied to that. And then a few months later, I ended up with the position, which is my current job. So right now, I think I'm very clear about going in this data science path. And before that, I did what Heather was saying, try a little different things. So I did sales for a little while, and then I worked at a hospital in my home country, which is Mexico. So after I learned that that was not something that I would like, then I did the switch, and you know, I had to switch my country, and then I'm switching again. So it's been a really great experience for me so far, and hopefully when I get to the Norwegian culture, I'll keep learning and keep improving in this data science path.
Thank you. Alexa.
Yes. So as for my path, it's been a ride. Being a senior now, when I came into SUNY Oswego, I knew I wanted to go into marketing, but I didn't really know what marketing was. It was kind of like, well, this may be for me, but I don't know that much about it. My family members, some of them had been involved in it, and every time I'd heard about it, I never heard anything bad. It was always, I love my job. This is great. This is so creative. This is so fun. And so I knew that's where I wanted to start and just see from there. And then SUNY Oswego, I can't agree with Heather more. The business program is just amazing, and the communications program. They really teach you a lot about the industry. They give you a lot of knowledge that you need to, you know, take on new stuff. They keep you up to date on trends. Like, the Google Analytics course that you can take with Maureen Melville. All of these courses, they just prepare you so much and really give you a little bit of taste of everything. And to add to Heather's point, in terms of marketing, it's 467 now, but advertising and promotions, it's just so nice being able to see, you know, you have this company or you have this specific like hypothetical client business, and to be able to execute a whole campaign around that was just so interesting to me. And being that I could have graduated, I want to say it was a semester early, and instead of deciding to do that, I noticed the courses that I had and time that I had, and public relations was something that I was able to fit in. And it was through getting to know people in the public relations side of things and the marketing side of things, because I saw a lot of overlap, that I really was starting to narrow down my niche. And then I had noticed that the graphic design program at SUNY Oswego had a branding and packaging class and web design. And being that I was paying attention to all the trends in the marketing and PR industry, I knew that these skills were going to be useful. So I started looking more into what was going on. I took a graphic design minor, and I got more into that creative realm, which is what I learned from all of like the marketing, advertising, promotions, intro marketing, all of the marketing business classes, was that the creative side of things is really where I wanted to fall. And it was through, besides my courses, but my executive board positions in the Public Relations Student Society of America, and even just being in the club for PRSSA and for the American Marketing Association, that I really learned a lot about the industry. I got hands-on experience. I ran social media accounts. And it was through that and working with an e-board that I really got a feel for what this would be like in the real world. And now I'm looking to do something in social media marketing because I have learned a lot about what that entails, and I have the experience, and it's creative and fun, but I'm also looking to do more with design and do more with these other things. So it really, between the courses, the extracurriculars, and the internships, it all just helps you so much in narrowing down what you like and what you don't. And I encourage everyone, you know, get involved, do everything you can, as Heather said, and introduce yourself to new people, because it will really change your thinking, it will change your interests, and you'll really be glad that you did. And Oswego just has so much to offer. I can't say enough. Just get involved. There's so much to do, whether it's going to career services, getting involved with clubs, trips, anything. It's amazing, and it will really help you for your future.
Thank you, Alexa. Yes, we have a lot to offer here, so you can always get involved. As everyone said, they were involved in extracurriculars, and it helped them in their path. For the next question, I was hoping that we could start off with Joan. Of all social media platforms out there, where does LinkedIn rank in terms of importance for career development and moving forward professionally, and why?
So Heather will agree with me on this one. LinkedIn is the number one. You know, there's a lot of statistics out there about it. I think it's every second 2 new people join LinkedIn. Is that the correct stat? Maybe Heather knows for sure. I think it's every second 2 new people join LinkedIn, and it's amazing. It's, I teach it to people, I work with people directly on it, and I manage it for them. The reason it's so good for people, students and people seeking jobs and people in business, entrepreneurs, to use it is because it is, especially right now, it is that connection that we don't get in person. I have met more people through LinkedIn and gotten to know them by a phone call or a Zoom in this past year than probably going to, you know, a networking event a week in years past. And what it does for me is it gives me a wider net. It gives me actually a worldwide net, because I can connect to somebody in India. I can connect to somebody in California, in Norway. I can connect to someone in New York that I maybe never have met before, and I can see who else they might know that I know. I'll just give you a quick example of this. Is I was connected with someone who was running for public office in California, a woman in one of the smaller towns outside of north of LA, between LA and San Francisco. And when I was connected to her, I used to make it that if I didn't know you, I wasn't going to link with you. And this woman changed that for me, because she said, well, let's get to know each other. So let's link, and then let's get to know each other. And I ended up referring her to someone who in New York I know, who runs Dare to Run Women, helping women learn how to run and educate them on how to run for public office. So by saying yes, and the year of yes, there have been books about this, by saying yes to a connection I didn't know, by having a phone call and getting to know the person, I was able then to put two people together that could actually change both of their careers and career paths. So that was really positive for me. I've also been able to use it to connect people for not just business, but in the nonprofit field. I work with a number of charities, and they were looking to connect to different people, donors and things like that. And I was able to do that and help them get to know each other. It's also amazing to I connected to a lot of you today, which we hadn't been connected before, but to look at who you may know already through someone else. And, Heather knows this from sales. For me, background in marketing was inevitable for me. It was who I was, marketing and sales, because every entrepreneur has to have sales. And by having those connections with people that know people, it gives you that know, like, and trust immediately, which is probably the most important thing. And if you're going to potentially work with someone, they want to sometimes know that you may know someone they know, and it just makes that relationship expedite even quicker. So I highly recommend checking it out. And I feel like I'm doing a sales pitch for it, but it has been a tool for me to actually grow my business. And I've been very fortunate during COVID to help others learn how to use it to grow their businesses.
Yes, thank you for those insights. Heather, do you have anything to add to that?
I mean, listen, I'm biased, right? I'm going to tell you that I think LinkedIn is the number one or the most important for career development and professional advancement. I mean, we capitalize on the fact that we are the only professional network out there, right? And I think that LinkedIn allows you to be successful, productive. I mean, anything from researching the person you're interviewing with, to better understanding the company that you're applying to knowing if you have a mutual connection there, to joining an alumni group, to finding a company that you didn't ever know that existed. I mean, it's kind of endless. I mean, listen, but I would be remiss if as well as the ability, like, listen, one of the things I love about LinkedIn, we're a publishing platform. You can share your perspective. You can position yourself as an employee of choice. You can share content. You can promote content. So whether it's you doing research on the vendor you're trying to pitch to, or evaluate the vendor that you're trying to read, it's all the information in the world at your fingertips if you want it. I think that the other thing that LinkedIn really does is that there's like LinkedIn Learning, which if any of you have premium accounts, like you can take a course on Excel, on Google Analytics, on anything ad hoc to upskill yourself. So I think LinkedIn doesn't only help you, but at the same time, guys, that does not mean that your social footprint or your online footprint is not very important. Like, let me be very clear, like there's not a single person that I hire that I don't do an Instagram search on, a Facebook search on, any social network that exists out there. You think you can stalk your ex-boyfriend, I promise you I can stalk you better. So, I mean, and I would take that perspective on every single person. Sometimes I'm grateful that these social networks did not exist when, Joan and I were in college. They were on the cusp. I could see them coming. MySpace was a thing. I'm dating myself, and now you're going to know how old I am, but you get the idea.
I didn't even have email.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would be very like, listen, if I'm going to pick a professional network, like, listen, I don't think anything does what LinkedIn does. And I think in COVID, you can see that it's almost leaps and bounds, like, and just for context, guys, when I started with LinkedIn, we were 200 million members, and today we're 800 million members. And to Joan's point, 1 out of every 2 professionals on the planet has a LinkedIn profile. And there are not a lot of companies that can say that. So it's pretty tremendous to see this company kind of grow and to be able to grow with it. And LinkedIn can allow you to join a company that's at that point if you do the right research. You can see them go from 7 employees to 70. So again, I'm biased.
Yeah. I just wanted to add that as Heather talked about LinkedIn Learning, Gary and Tycho talked about it in the chat, is that LinkedIn Learning is free to SUNY Oswego students. So definitely take advantage, and the link is in the chat as well. So Paula, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I mean, other than that, I agree with both of them that career-wise, the most important social media is LinkedIn. I would say that it is important because it allows you to showcase your skills, what you can do and your potential, and then companies recruit from there. So the fact that your CV is always on display is something that is very valuable. So maybe you're not looking for a job, but a recruiter sees your profile, and then that opens up a whole new path for you. And then updates in your CV are really easy to make whenever it's necessary. So that allows you to keep everyone updated. And then you can connect with people in and out of your field and learn about what companies are looking for and work towards those descriptions. So it can be very specific and help you narrow the requirements that you need to be working for. And then it even makes suggestions and let you know when new positions are posted. So it's a powerful tool for job hunting. And as you mentioned, LinkedIn Learning, if you know how to take advantage of it, and even in the simples of courses, it will help you because you can find a course in every single field that you could possibly think of. And if you're a SUNY Oswego student, as you said, it is free. So that's a really great incentive to start using LinkedIn Learning because it's going to be for your own sake. So I would say that LinkedIn is definitely way above every social media out there.
Yeah, thank you. Alexa, do you want to share your insights?
Absolutely. So I could not agree with the other panelists more. LinkedIn is definitely number one, and it's number one for a lot of reasons. As Paola said, it is about your digital footprint. And I don't care if you're a senior, you're out of college, it is so important considering how many people are applying for jobs, applying for internships, any experience really, to have yourself out there so that people can find you. Because someone that has a LinkedIn profile and has a resume and has a cover letter is going to beat someone out versus someone that doesn't have that LinkedIn profile. It's like having an online portfolio without having to actually put together a portfolio. It's just a very good representation of yourself, of your skills, as Paula had said. And, you know, for example, I actually had a company offer me and internships as well that have reached out to me about opportunities that I either hadn't heard of or I didn't think I'd have a shot at. So just having yourself out there, you can be contacted by these companies that you're not necessarily reaching out to. So that in itself is a huge advantage. And also, you know, if you can't market yourself, how are you going to market anything else? Because you know yourself more than you're going to know anything else that you're put on. And it's so important to be able to practice really getting yourself out there. It's going to help you when you're doing these cover letters, when you're doing these interviews, because you're really getting to know yourself and your strengths and your skills. And it's a wonderful opportunity to be found. It's a wonderful opportunity to share the things that you've done, to connect with others. And lastly, something that also LinkedIn is great for, besides just knowing people, I've been doing a lot of informational interviews recently, and something that's great about LinkedIn is you can see where people have worked in the past and you can learn about them. So when you go to do things like writing them cover letters, like conducting informational interviews, you know what you're asking these people instead of just asking basic questions, and you're showing you've done your homework and that you really are interested in speaking with them. So LinkedIn, there's so many reasons LinkedIn is probably the best platform there ever was. But yeah, it's wonderful. Everyone needs to get involved in LinkedIn.
Yeah, very well put about finding out your strengths. Gary, do you have anything to add?
Right, super quick, couple of points. Any student or alum, any major, any career field, any path, any stage of their career development, LinkedIn can be helpful without going into more detail than that. The other piece is, and all the folks know this, particularly Heather, there are layers of LinkedIn that frankly you probably just don't know exist. It's a very complex program. And those are a couple things we're going to really look at this week in the 2 sessions coming up. And I'll throw those in the chat, but we're going to explore those in more
with the next question, we have a question in the chat. What if you don't really use social media? So with the next question, if you could just maybe, if you have any insight into that, if you could add it to your answer. I would really like to start with Heather. So tomorrow we are running a session on rocking your LinkedIn profile. But in your opinion, how important is a person's LinkedIn profile? What separates a good profile from a great one?
Yeah, so happy to share here. And if somebody doesn't really use social media, I would say to you, I don't consider LinkedIn social media. It's professional social networking, and so you need to make a decision. Like, you don't need a Facebook page, you don't need an Instagram page, but if you want to get a job, you should have a LinkedIn page. And if you want to get recruited from another company, you should have that brand presence, and that's my recommendation to you. So. Don't fight it. I always say to somebody, I don't know what the next 5 years is going to bring, but I can tell you that LinkedIn's here now and it's what we use. Right. So at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to get on board, so tomorrow we're running the Rock Your Profile session. First of all, it's extremely important that you have a strong profile. This is what the majority of hiring managers will view before they see you. It has become the new CV. I don't read a resume. I look at your LinkedIn profile. And the reason for it is it's the readability. It's very easy for a hiring manager to overview where you've worked, what you've done, where your education is from, and your recommendations very quickly, right? And so what I would say to you is, like, to Alexa's point, like, listen, I love it when somebody comes into an interview and knows something about me that maybe I didn't know before. Hey, we were in the same sorority. Hey, we're a part of the same nonprofit organization. Hey, we do the same charity work. Hey, we're from the same alumni. I would tell you, anytime I hear an Oswego alumni, I'll help them, because people helped me that way, right? So it's kind of a pay it forward. So what I would say to you is, like, what separates good from great? Completion, updated, good data, keywords that matter. These are the things that differentiate you. Good recommendations. It's a lot of things, you can promote a skill, but, like, for somebody to actually write, for Joan to write on Alexa's page how much she's enjoyed her as an intern, those things make a difference. Connecting, research. What do you know about a company before you walk in? One of the things you'll often see me ask, I don't want somebody who wants to sell LinkedIn, because I think LinkedIn sells itself. I want somebody who wants to sell to work for me. Right. And so I would also think about that in terms of, like, when you're thinking about this in a job interview, or you're positioning yourself for a company, what does this person want from me? Everybody wants to work. You heard everybody on here. LinkedIn's great. It's the best platform for jobs, for media, to help me sell, to help me connect to vendors. But I think that, so what separates a good from great are the people who will leverage the tool, not just once, not log in and update their profile, but they'll use it every day, or they'll make a commitment for 2 to 3 times a week. They'll do the research. And remember, guys, it's not a resume. It's an overview of your experience. So that's the other thing. Like, sometimes people try to put, like, this laundry list of every function they ever did. That's not valuable to an employer. What they want to see is an overview of what you were doing. And then they'll ask you more questions to get more detailed. But I think that answers both your questions, right, Kayla?
Yes, it did. Thank you. Yeah, and she talked about completion and updating. Gary just threw a link in the chat. Take a great LinkedIn photo. I think photos are really important as well. And Tycho added
a headshot. That's the other thing I would say to you about the photo. Like, make sure that it's something that's, like, shoulder up, professional, branded, and that they could see you. I always joke with my customers when I do a Rock Your Profile session. Like, I once had a customer, I walked into his office, and his LinkedIn picture must have been from college, and he was pushing 60. And I was like, okay, this is funny, but I would have no idea who you were. The intent of it is so that if somebody saw that picture, they would be able to recognize you. So as your kind of personal, fashion, you cut your hair, you update it, you dye it, all these things happen, keep that picture as up to date and try to make it a headshot, shoulders up, so that we would recognize you if we saw you. At the same time, you don't have to share a photo, but ones with photos are, like, 3 times more likely to get viewed.
You gotta share a photo. I took a client and took his photo because I said, you cannot be an egghead, that gray little circle. You gotta have a photo.
Yeah, and just to add to that, there's something so personal about having a photo. Like if I'm getting requests and they don't have a photo, I don't know if this is a real person, because you do run into these situations where people are trying to get a hold of you and they're not who they are claiming to be because all you have is a great photo. So you may even not recognize that person because maybe you met a lot of people that day, and just seeing that photo and that name, you're creating recognition with the people that you've met that you may have forgotten, and you're creating recognition on their end because now they're remembering you, because they've seen your photo and they can put the two and two together. So it's really important to have a good photo, and it'll make you look a lot more professional, besides just helping people remember you. But that does help.
Yeah, thank you for those insights. Gary or Paola, do you have anything to add?
I have something to add. I think that regarding how important is your profile, I would say that it's very, very important because it's the first impression of you the recruiters will get. And in a quick glance, it will give them a general idea of your expertise and skills. And I think that even your willingness to keep learning and evolving. So there's a lot of things that you can communicate with your profile. And I would say that a great profile is one that let people know more about you and how you see your role, why you do what you do, because your skills are important, but try to bring to life why do those skills matter. It's more important. And then some underused elements in a profile can help you stand out, such as recommendations or assessments and publications. So it's how you showcase your passion for learning what makes your profile stand out.
Yeah, thank you. Gary, did you have something to add?
Just real quickly, be concise but impactful. Talk about what you've accomplished instead of kind of what you do or who you are, and try to make your profile sticky. And by that I mean, if someone's going to show up and look for 30 seconds, how do you get them to stick around for 60 seconds or 120 seconds? Sometimes you can do that by embedding media, work samples, projects, PowerPoint slides, apps you develop, whatever it is you can put on your profile to make that sticky, that gets you in their brain a little bit longer.
Thank you. For our next question, we'll start with Paula. Many students have started a LinkedIn profile but struggle to make it work for them. How do they add the next step to enhance their brand and develop meaningful relationships?
I would say that the first thing, if you don't know how to do something, is ask for help. Learn things out of your comfort zone. And then if you don't know how to make your profile work for you, there's always resources available for that. For example, I know that in career services at SUNY, they can help you in building your profile more efficiently. Students can make an appointment for that and then use those resources and take advantage of the facilities at SUNY. And also, if you have a friend, for example, that you know is specializing in marketing or a related area, you can use that to your advantage. You should reach out, and it could be beneficial for both of you. You know, also, as Gary mentioned earlier, LinkedIn Learning is available for free, and then you could expand your pool of knowledge. And even something as simple as how to build a better profile LinkedIn, I bet there's a course for that in LinkedIn Learning. So use that. And I could say that I have, like personally, I have used the career service LinkedIn resource, and it helped me. After I went to the appointment, there was a clear before and after, because after that I got more visualizations on my profile. So it's something that you could actually measure in LinkedIn, because you have also that tool. So if you know that your profile is not being seen, then something is wrong. So learn about the metrics of LinkedIn and use it to your advantage.
Absolutely. Thank you. Alexa, do you have anything to add?
Yes, Paola made so many great points. But just to continue on in that, the way I think about it is, in a way it is a social media platform, and in a way it is a social networking tool. It's both. And that's what I love about it, because while some people may say, oh, you know, this is something I have to do for work. It's really enjoyable. If you're following your industry, you're learning things about trends. You're seeing, like, I saw this really cool advertising campaign, and it was like a lion jumping off a building. That's not something that I would have found if I wasn't on LinkedIn, because it's experts providing all of this knowledge, and it's making yourself a better professional because you're learning and seeing what others are doing. And I feel like, you know, with social media, if you don't have content, people don't follow your page. So if you don't have content on LinkedIn, which could be as simple when you're a student, since you may not have time to post a lot, could just be things that you're doing in school, events that you attend, clubs that you're a part of easy stuff like that, that will really help you build a, I don't want to say a following, but it will help people pay attention to you. And, you know, it will make people want to pay attention to your content. And then when you do graduate, you will be able to post more industry related things, and you'll have the network because you've had so many people paying attention to your content when you start.
Yeah, thank you, Alexa. Gary? Oh, Gary, you're on mute.
I was going to do that before this night was over. Yeah, you know, it's kind of hard to add to what everyone said. It's just amazing advice. I would say it's a law of physics, and just some general advice here. It takes as much energy to get a rocket ship an inch off the ground as it does to go the next 10 miles. In everything we're talking about tonight, you have to set a plan, you have to stay organized, you have to at least take a step. If it's not the perfect step and it's not a huge step, that's okay. Just take a step and do some of the things our panelists are talking about tonight, and that momentum will start to carry you 10 miles higher.
That's great advice. Thanks, Gary. Joan, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, absolutely. I use LinkedIn as like my business card file. Anytime I meet someone, I go and look them up and connect with them. And I always connect with them with a note. I don't want to just hit the connect button and let it go and have them wonder, who is this? How do I know this person? You probably hear a siren in the background. I'm in New York. So I do that strategically because I add in my phone number and my email address when I connect with them, so I can say, hey, great meeting you at so-and-so, or like in prep for this, I sent a note saying, hey, we're not connected yet. How are we not linked in yet? Let's connect and let's schedule something to chat after. So that's one of the ways I do it. And a second way is right in so many people don't have an about section. They worry about the experience and they forget about the about. And I'm big on, in the about section, actually putting my contact details so that it's not, nobody has to think about how do I find her? How do I connect to her? I want something simple. If I see someone that I can copy and paste it, if I want to introduce them to someone else, or if I want to be introduced. So I always do that. Those are two big things for the students to do. And like Alexa was saying earlier, Alexa's been blogging. And I've said to her, take those blogs and put them on LinkedIn as an article. And you don't have to put the whole thing. Maybe you put a piece of it if you have a website. But those are ways to be seen, and be seen in a very different way. And it makes you more of a candidate when you're looking for a job, or if you're not even looking, you never know. I just had a client I worked with. He's in the financial services industry, and somebody contacted him because they had seen that he updated his profile and made it pretty robust, and they're now offering him a job. So you just never know.
Wow, thank you. Heather, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think it's all repetitive, guys. I mean, just take the Rock Your Profile session, get on there, figure it out, fill it out with what you're comfortable with. And the more information, the better, the more keywords. It's pretty simple in that regard.
Yeah, thank you. And again, that session is tomorrow night, and this whole week is about LinkedIn. So the next question, I was hoping we could start with Gary. What is at least one tangible success story you can tell from using this platform? You're on mute again.
I'll be as brief as I can, but it's a great story. I was working with a student, a PR student, Kayla. She just wanted a job in public relations after graduation. She was searching through a platform we use called Career Shift, and she found a job. And we took a look at that job, and then we found the company on LinkedIn and a list of employees, one of whom was a director of human resources and then 2 alumni. So we went back to the job. She tweaked her LinkedIn profile to now follow PR firms specializing in food and beverage industry. And so she was learning more about that industry just by following some of those companies and those groups. After she did that, she went back, she applied for the position. 10 seconds later, she went back and reached out to those alumni and the director of HR on LinkedIn to say, hey, I just wanted to let you know I just applied for this position. I'm really excited. It looks like you have a great company. Can't wait to potentially meet you someday. And that, of course, started a back and forth conversation, which ultimately ended up in her having a massive edge over anybody else who is just a resume in a pile. Ultimately, it's a great end of the story. She got the job offer. She didn't take the job offer because of this experience working the process this way. She became much more competitive and was, turning down offers on the way to the one she actually took. But it's a great story on how the synergy between the different platforms we use, bring all those things together to kind of move for professional success. It was a great story.
Thank you for that story, Gary. I just want to add, we're about 3 minutes to 5 p.m. If it's okay, and if the panelists can stay, we just have about 1.5 questions left. So next, I'm going to go to Joan.
So you know how you find out who you know and what they know and who they know on LinkedIn. And I actually connected to an engineering company and found out that the gentleman that ran it went to a high school 1 town over from me. And when I found that out, that's the know, like, and trust. Immediately I had a talking point. And that made it even easier to just connect to him and have him say, you know what, I'm going to give you a chance. And we only used LinkedIn for him. And the unique part of the story is that he wanted to connect to architects and architectural firms. And we used LinkedIn and we used LinkedIn ads to do that. And it turns out that we did sequential marketing on LinkedIn, sending out messages on his behalf to different people that were in these firms. And 2 ended up saying to him, wow, I haven't heard from you in so many years. I'm so glad you got back in touch. And he got hired as a firm because of that. So it's like this roundabout circle, it's like the magic pill. It just works. If you use it, and that's the biggest point I can make. If you use it and you make a schedule for yourself to just use it on a regular basis, like Heather said, doesn't have to be every day. It can be once or twice a week, but make sure you're using it and checking it. And just like other social platforms, and like Alexa writes a blog, maybe you're doing something on Facebook or Instagram. You could actually share that onto LinkedIn as part of a portfolio if you want to be a blogger, or if you want to go into a certain field, if you're in the food services, you want to be a chef, you want to go into catering, you never know. And if you share cross-platform, it can really help.
Thank you, Joan. Heather, do you have a specific story?
Oh, there's a lot of stories. Kayla, I mean, listen, we hire, 3 people are hired every minute by LinkedIn. So LinkedIn's talent is $1 billion business. Whether it's in-mails to a customer, research, it's helped my team personally close millions of dollars for the company and for themselves. So, listen, I kept in touch with my old boss from Yahoo, and that's how I got my job at LinkedIn. So I think that we could do nothing but tell you stories about how well this platform works. The best thing for you to do is to get online, start networking, start connecting, start messaging, start researching. I think research is probably the most undervalued free access that you get on LinkedIn that people just don't take enough advantage of. And to Joan's point, there's nothing like going into a meeting with a common point. And the only way you're going to identify that common point is if you use LinkedIn. It's the same way they tell you today to write a resume based on the job you're applying to. Connect with the people in the profile that you want to work with. and eventually they'll become your network. So, you know, I don't have specific story or not. There's just millions. But just think about the vastness of that. Every minute, 3 people get a job through LinkedIn. It's crazy.
That's amazing. Yeah, thank you. Paola, do you have a story?
Well, I have my own story, but before that, we would like to take on a little bit of what Heather was saying. I would like to invite people to make a quick Google search on how different successful stories, how many ways LinkedIn can help you in your career path. So if you Google successful stories from LinkedIn, you will have a better idea of the wide scope that LinkedIn could also, help you shape your career path, so that people know that maybe there's something that did not occur to you. You would read it somewhere else and then could apply that to yourself. And as for myself, I got an internship by looking through LinkedIn. So that helped me graduate, which for me was the biggest goal ever. And I also know people that had gotten jobs because of the connections they made in LinkedIn, you know, connecting with employees or recruiters from a specific company. And then I did interviews for jobs with recruiters I connected on this platform, and I have gotten job applications for places I didn't even knew existed, but ended up liking and ended up following their work and ended up learning things from them. So it's a great place to know more companies, from startups to big companies. So I would say that overall, all of LinkedIn is a successful story.
Thank you. And Alexa, do you want to finish off this question? And then again, we're a little bit over. If you don't mind, there's just one more question left.
Absolutely. I'll try and keep this pretty short so we're on schedule. So besides having recruiters contact me, which is always a great thing to have, LinkedIn, for me, it's really been able to stay in touch with people that I wouldn't have otherwise. And there's professional networking events that I went to as a freshman, and I still talk to those people today. And besides just talking to them and having that connection to them, I really just enjoy seeing where they've ended up throughout the years, because they may have been working one position when I met them 3.5 years ago, and now they're in a completely different one. And it's just being able to see people succeed and grow that is just really one of the nicest things about LinkedIn, because you get to follow people and see what they're doing in their lives and follow their career path, even though you may not be talking all the time, or you are talking all the time and you're keeping that door open by sending them messages or sharing things you think they'd be interested in. And that's just really a huge asset of the platform.
Yeah, thank you, Alexa. So this is our last question. What are 3 concrete activities our listeners can accomplish in the next 24 hours to really move forward with LinkedIn? And we can start with Joan, if you have an answer for that one.
Take the course that's tomorrow. That's it. And update, put your contact info in contact, make sure it's robust, put all your contact details, make sure you have a proper header, make sure you have a banner photo, a good photo for a profile, and use the about section and use those keywords, but take the class. Use the resources that are being given to you while you have them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I didn't have LinkedIn when I was in college or during my first job or for a little while after that. So it's a beautiful tool. Use it.
Heather, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, I think obviously attend the Rock Your Profile session. My advice to you would be to log into LinkedIn on your own profile before you take that session. Don't go into that session like clueless, like log in, try to spend some time in there. That would be number 1. Number 2, I would strongly encourage you to follow like 3 or 4 companies that you could see yourself working for or aligning for, or even that you're just passionate about their vision. So if you spend all day on TikTok, then you should follow TikTok. Like, it's that simple, right? Like, you know, think about what we said to you about our career paths and how they led to things that we loved. I think number 3, maybe connect with me. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Number 3 would be to Google yourself. Know what your online presence looks like today. Like I said to you, hiring managers are basically detectives. They will figure it out. They want to understand everything and as much as they can. I will look up anything and everything. And to Paola's point, I would look up anything on whether it's a Reddit profile and you're a data scientist or an engineer or a software developer, or looking to see on your Facebook page what kind of presence you have and what kind of pictures are up there. Are you the kind of person who just takes selfies of themselves, or are you the kind of person who, you know, travels or does things? Maybe I'm gonna, you know, and again, it may not be fair, guys, but it's just, it's the reality of the world we live in, is that people were gonna do research. So my advice to you, do research on them and then be prepared for them to do research on you. So if there's a third thing that I could probably tell you to do, that would be it.
Awesome, thank you. Paula, do you have 3 things?
Yes, I would say use LinkedIn Learning, because you will gain knowledge and a certificate in your profile that might also be good for your online persona. And then follow relevant influencers for your industry and grow your network, because you can also learn through other people's profile. And then always keep in mind that your profile is your CV. So keep in mind that it's a place to highlight your best accomplishment. So make sure your experience sections describe what you did, how well you did it, and who it impacted.
Thank you. Alexa?
So going off what everyone has said, and again, so many wonderful points, I would say, you know, first look at your profile and say, would I be happy if a recruiter was looking at this? And if the answer is no, then you have some homework to do, but you have homework to do on this anyways. Attend the session tomorrow. Definitely utilize everything that you can from that. Joan had taught me, utilize your banner, because people are getting more innovative with their banner, and it is the first thing you see. It's at the top. So you want it to be awesome and stand out and make someone want to scroll. You don't want to bore them within the first second. Not that you can't have it plain. You should have something there, but it does help you if you get more creative with it and show more of yourself so they want to keep looking at you. So that's the first thing. Attend the session tomorrow and think of who you can connect with. See if there's professors that you've had that are you really had a strong relationship with, that would be happy to connect with you, that you want to stay in touch with, that they may have connections that you want to be connected to. Think of things that you've attended and who you can connect with there. And you'd be surprised how many people are on LinkedIn and how many of them will happily connect with you. And even alumni, as we've said, alumni are willing to help. So definitely see, there might be an alumni that's worth reaching out to. There definitely is, but you know, keep your eye out. So that's my advice.
Thank you, Alexa. Gary?
Right. Not much more I can add to that other than take a step. I think something that will separate people out in the end is not genius. It's not who you know and what you know and all of that. It is action. Take a step. It doesn't have to be a big step, but connect with 3 people. Find 3 internships or jobs. Follow 5 companies. But figure out a timeline. By the end of the week, I'm going to reach out to 5 people. And that's a step. And then that'll spur you to take another step. Action is the biggest thing you can take. The 2 things I would say really important: attend the next 2 sessions. By the end of this week, you will have unraveled the mystery of LinkedIn, all the different layers of professional assistance that it can give you, and then you can go forward from there.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, so Tycho added in the chat that if you have a question that wasn't addressed, absolutely reach out to our panelists on LinkedIn, connect with them, add a note and introduce yourself. You know, I attended this session, etc. And also this was recorded and it will be uploaded by the end of the week, and that link is added in the chat as well. So thank you so much for all of you participating, and a huge thank you to our panelists. Your perspectives were very interesting, insightful, and much appreciated. Don't forget to check out this week's exciting programs like we've been talking about. Tomorrow, LinkedIn staff will run a session on how to rock your profile, and Thursday we'll be running a session for LinkedIn power users to help you use LinkedIn to its fullest potential. Check out the chat for the link and all the details. Thanks again for attending, and have a great night, everyone.